Robin?
Sure.
So Robin Elliott from the OSPCA Midland branch, thank you so much for being our feature presenter today to talk about the shelter, the amazing things you're doing there, the adorable animals that you have up for adoption, and your fundraising initiatives. But before we get started, Robin, just a couple of housekeeping things. So this is the next in our series, our Business Straight Talk, which has been very successful, held every Wednesday morning from 10 to 11. And we feature a new business, a new industry to talk about what's happened during the pandemic and how our very resilient businesses have kind of transformed their services and initiatives during the pandemic. So next week, just to let everybody know, next week we have, and I've gapped out on that, Dino's. Dino's Fresh Food Deli will be talking about their business, and I'm not sure if you've seen inside the restaurant, but it's completely different to what it used to be. Right now, it's turned into a production facility where they're doing catering for our businesses, doing a lot of lunch delivery in the area, and also the takeout window. So that's Dino's next week. And tomorrow we have a special webinar as well, which is the power of blogging for business. And we have Jim Lowe, the creative director for Assisting You Social, leading that webinar. So he asks if you are blogging for small business, and if not, why not? The presentation will talk about the 5 W's of blogging for business. So who should be blogging? What should you blog about? When you should publish the articles, and why all businesses need to be taking advantage of this very powerful tool. So that's tomorrow, which is Thursday, and beginning at 10 a.m. That's a free webinar, and that's being hosted by Assisting You Social. So back to Robin on the line. Thank you so much for being our feature business today. So a little background on Robin. She moved to Midland about 4 years ago and has loved the move and every stage of this change. Her passion for animals paired with her love of the community has allowed her to successfully fundraise and gain new friends for the Midland SPCA, as well as support and raise awareness for local small business. The current Midland Center was rebuilt after a devastating fire in 2016, and the property is also home to the Provincial Animal Transport Hub, also known as PATH, which provides temporary homes for animals transported from remote communities. The Midland Center also provides community support for those in need of assistance for animal care and food in times of need. So Robin, thank you so much. We'll start with your chat about what's going on with you and the SPCA, and then we'll follow it up with a general discussion and some questions. So I will hand it over to you, Robin.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about what's been going on at the Midland Center. We were closed to the public, as were a lot of places, as of March 12th, due to COVID concerns. So staff that were critical to animal care remained in the center. Anybody that was not, so people like myself, unfortunately, we started working remotely. So that was a challenge in itself. But what made that bigger, we had just completed 2 large northern transfers. So those are transfers from remote communities of dogs and cats, and both the Midland facility and our PATH facility were at full capacity. So the staff that we had there were working on, kind of limited time and having to kind of restructure how they did everything in order to ensure that the animals were still receiving incredible care. We were also no longer able to take in surrenders. So surrenders are animals that are brought to us by the community. So these are stray animals that are in need. And we were not able to support the community in that, of course, because we wanted to stop the spread of COVID, and by limiting human contact, that was a step that was necessary for us to take. At the time, we hadn't worked out a safe way to be able to do surrenders. Thankfully, since then, we have been able to manage that, but that was one way, of course, that we were not able to support our community. Adoptions, again, of course, those were stopped as well until we were able to figure out a safe way to do so. So this meant that the animals that we had, and as I said, we were at maximum capacity. We had about 46 animals in care. These animals normally stay in our care for about 1 to 2 weeks. And this meant that they were staying in our care indefinitely until we could figure out, how to facilitate adoptions. Longer stays can be detrimental to the animals in terms of some behavioral challenges if it goes on for too long. Thankfully, our amazing staff, because they were able to focus just on animal care, they were able to provide additional enrichment for these animals to ensure that by the time they were able to be adopted out, that they were in amazing physical and mental health. So that was huge for them, and especially the animals from remote communities. These are community dogs, so they are very much loved by the people around them, but they don't have homes. So it's so important for these animals to, when we get them into our care, to get them, through the medical part of it and get them into forever homes as quickly as we can. So thankfully, they were able to, as I said, work on, additional enrichment to be able to help those animals out. Our volunteer program has been suspended until 2021. So we have 67 total local volunteers who are the backbone of our organization. They provide incredible support to our frontline staff. Excuse me. And again, because they were no longer there, they weren't able to support our staff through these challenging times, which put a little bit of extra pressure on our existing team. But it also put pressure, and maybe that's the wrong word for it, but it really affected our volunteers. We get emails and notes almost daily wanting to know about how the animals are doing, how the staff are doing, wanting updates on what's happening. We are an integral part of these people's lives, and especially for some of our elderly volunteers. They were feeling isolated as it was without having this outlet of volunteerism. It's really left them feeling even more so, which has been really hard on us to see, and of course hard on them to go through. So we're trying to pivot to find new safe ways to engage our volunteers from home. So things like assisting us with virtual events that we're hosting, helping us come up with ideas for fundraisers. Anything that they can safely do from their homes, we're really encouraging them to do. So hopefully we'll be able to get them back in early 2021 and, get things going again. Another of our programs that was affected has been our fostering program. So foster programs are for either medical needs animals, behavioral challenge animals, or very young animals. Who need to be fed a little bit more frequently. So the centers we have staff there from 8 o'clock until 5 o'clock. So if you've got animals that need a little bit more monitoring, we had to find alternatives to our foster homes, who are amazing, and they take these animals in and care for them until they're ready to come back in and be adopted. So again, our amazing staff, I can't say enough how incredible these people are. They were taking these animals home with them. So literally taking their work home. Very cute work, albeit, but still, additional challenges for them at home. And they took it on without question to help these animals. We had 3 litters of puppies through the Northern transfers. So lots of them to look after. And we did have a few medical needs. So we had full households for our animal care staff. As I mentioned, the Animal North program was suspended, which means we couldn't provide support for our northern friends. And what these programs are is they're programs that help us go in and we're asked in by remote communities in Northern Ontario and Manitoba. And these are communities that have really limited access to resources like spay-neuter clinics, veterinary care, even food and the basic necessities for pet care. To give you an example, for a lot of these places, a trip to the vet either includes a plane ride, or it can be a drive as long as from here to Florida, literally. So these are
Wow.
people who have extreme challenges. And because of that, they have problems with overpopulation of dogs and cats. It's not that they don't care. It's not that they don't love these animals. They simply don't have access to the resources. So we are brought in by these communities. We work with them, and we bring these animals down here. They stay with us for a 2-week quarantine period at our PATH location. And then they're sent out to our adoption agencies or our adoption centers across the province to find loving homes. We have facilitated the adoption of over 400 dogs so far last year. This year, we have only been able to bring in about, I think we're at 50 or 60 right now. So we lost that 6-month window. We were able to really help these communities. So we're back at that again, which is great, but you know, the need is stronger than ever. Of course, our spay neuter clinics were also closed, which meant some additional challenges with some of our litters. As I mentioned, we were at capacity. So once they reach a certain age, you have to split the boys and the girls up. So finding the additional room to be able to do that was a bit of a challenge, but we tackled that one. We have our dog park, which is called Carver's Place, and that abuts the center. It's a 5-kilometer space or 5-acre space, which it's incredible. It's center property, but through a generous donation through 2 gentlemen, we were able to kind of retrofit the property so that it was appropriate as a dog park. It is a destination for dog owners, for people who don't have backyards of their own. And it's been the loss of that space has really been felt by the community, and we know that. They've reached out and told us. But it was felt that in the interest of public safety and to help stop the spread of COVID-19, that it was best to keep that facility closed up until 2021, and we'll revisit it at that time. The reason for this is that it is not a monitored space. And we really feel strongly that anybody using our facilities, it is our responsibility to keep them safe, because we're not able to have staff or volunteers down there to monitor that. We just don't feel that it's right for us to promote the use of the space, you know, which kind of goes against the interests of public safety. So unfortunately that has stayed closed, but we really hope to be able to reopen soon. Thankfully there are you know, 4 other dog parks that have been able to fit the needs. If anybody needs information on where those are, I'm happy to provide it. There's one in Little Lake, there's CBO Park in Tiny, there's one in Penetang. So lots of other options, but we know that the loss of Carver's has been really felt by the community. And finally, with the gloom news, our fundraising, of course, our in-person events have been suspended until at least 2021. And we're guessing we may host 1 in-person event in 2021, and the rest will either be virtual or hybrid events. So the pivot to these online events is something that's been really new to all of us, and not just us, everybody in the community. We've all had to kind of really embrace social media and doing things online and all of that, which is new and a little bit terrifying. But we have a great team, and we've all kind of worked together to try and you know, and make these events happen. One of the other challenges is a lot of our supporters don't have an online presence. So when we're hosting these virtual events, we're missing out on the opportunities to reach out to these people to raise, you know, these critical funds for the animal center. Because of the loss of in-person events and not able to necessarily reach our actual support group, our fundraising for the center is at 1/3 of our budget for the year. So that is 1/3 of the funds that we needed to, you know, to be able to function. And of course we have backups, and, you know, we are able to function, and we're doing so, you know, really well, tightening purse strings. And, you know, because, you know, some of the more administrative side of things has slowed down, it causes, you know, reductions in certain bills. And so, you know, you're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul, if you will. But that's a huge loss for us. So we're continuing to work on fundraisers coming up for the balance of this year. We actually have one coming up this Saturday. We've got a virtual trivia night which is going to be retro themed trivia, but you can also dress up and dress your pets up. It's going to be a lot of fun. It is hosted through Zoom, and we're going to be having prizes for the best dressed, as well as, you know, the ultimate winners of the trivia. We're going to be having some of our faster animals come in and visit us. So those 15 kittens that I mentioned, they're going to be making an appearance on and off through the night. A very good friend of mine is fostering 6 of them, actually, and they have now discovered toilet paper, and they have discovered mirrors, and it's the most adorable thing you've ever seen. So they'll be a lot of fun, and they'll be popping in to join us. We've also got a virtual silent auction coming up that's in place of our usual Victorian Christmas event. And that was a craft event that was hosted at the North Simcoe Rec Center. It was hugely popular. Of course, we're not hosting that. So we've got a silent auction in place of that that's being run through Facebook. And the link to that is already up on our Facebook page. We're looking at having 30 to 50 amazing items. We've run a couple of these before now, and we had kind of 10 to 15 just to see how it went. But the response to this has been amazing. A lot of the vendors that would have taken place in the in-person event have donated items anyway. We've got some fabulous stuff that's come in from the community, from local small businesses. So it's going to be a really, really great one. I'm really excited about it. And that's going to be running November 16th through the 20th. So more information on our website and on our Facebook about that. And then looking for something towards the holiday season. So we're still working on that one, but we are working on ways to come up with ideas before the end of the year to at least make up a portion of that loss that we've been feeling. Good news, which there is lots of, this is not all gloom and doom and sadness. We have not seen these as problems. You'll notice I haven't used that word. These are challenges that as an organization, we've really pulled together and worked together to overcome. That's at the center level as well as at the provincial level. The center level, we've all had to support each other. Personally, this has been really hard on all of us emotionally, as it has for everyone. Huge changes in our lifestyles, not just at work, but at home. So providing support for our colleagues. And then at a provincial level for that as well, but also, you know, making these pivots to online and supporting each other to be able to reopen for adoptions and get the centers reopened. Excuse me. We did reopen for limited contact adoptions at the beginning of July, and I'm thrilled to announce that since then we have adopted out over 90 animals into Happy Forever homes, which is an incredible number, and we're so thrilled. And we keep getting updates about these incredible animals, which I'm posting every once in a while. And it's really, this is the rewarding part of the job, is seeing these animals come in and then get to go out to these fantastic homes. So that's been really great. Our foster program is back up and running again. And the best news is we've been able to support our community through our Urgent Animal Care Fund and through our food banks. So the Urgent Animal Care Fund was set up because of COVID-19. And what it does is it provides support and funding for people who have been affected by COVID-19, either through loss of their job, through loss of income, or through medical or health issues. If they're unable to access medical care or food for their animals, they can call our 310 OSPCA line and ask for assistance through the Urgent Animal Care Fund. So we've been able to keep animals in homes. We've been able to provide life-saving surgeries for people's pets so that they've been able to keep them. It's so crucially important, especially at times like these, for people to have their animals. The CDC has shown that having an animal in your home and in your life significantly reduces stress. It decreases incidence of depression, reduces blood pressure, heart issues. Not having these animals or losing these animals during this time is incredibly detrimental to families. So our main goal is to be able to keep these animals at home and with their families. And the Urgent Animal Care Fund is allowing us to do that. We do have a food bank. So if you or anybody that you know is having challenges feeding your animals due to COVID, please feel free to contact me personally or reach out to our 310 OSPCA line or the Midland Center, and we'll be happy to provide you with support through that. Again, looking forward to coming up with more fundraising initiatives to help us fill the gaps. I have to say our local community and our local small businesses at a time when they're struggling have still reached out to me. And I haven't necessarily, I've gone out to a few, but these are people who have contacted me and said, we really want to help. Like, yes, we're all in trouble here, but we want to provide you with a silent auction item, or we want to provide you with sponsorship, which really just speaks to how incredible this community is. I feel so incredibly lucky to have moved here 4 years ago and to be a part of such an incredibly supportive and wonderful group of people. So I cannot say enough good things, and enough thanks yous to everybody out there who has supported the center and helped me through this. We are back in business by appointment for adoptions. Surrenders are available by appointment. We can, as I said, provide support for our community again. We are back in business and really looking forward to a strong 2021. Thank you so much again for allowing me to speak today and tell you what we've been going through, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Wow, Robin, you're inspirational. I feel inspired. Congratulations on everything that you're doing and have done. It's amazing, like how you've transformed and you're still moving forward with your fundraising. And the fact that you and a very small staff have still been able to look after these animals, it's heartwarming, really. I mean, you said you have 67 volunteers, which have kind of been put on hold on that program, and it's been your paid staff only that have been looking after these animals. And I mean, we all know what animals do to our lives and how they enrich them. And as a dog owner myself, just kudos to you for everything you're doing and looking after these precious little family members of ours. So good for you. Curious about your PATH program. So is the Midland Center the primary recipient of these, or destination for these northern animals that come down?
Yes, so the PATH is actually a separate building from the Midland Center. I'll take these off, I'm blaring. So there's the Midland Center, and then directly behind it is our PATH Center. So when we facilitate these transfers, everybody comes to the PATH first, and that's where they do their quarantines. So we have a specially trained team of animal care professionals who can deal with any challenges. Some of these community dogs have issues that are very specific to that type of animal. So they're trained in how to deal with that. They receive medical treatment for 2 weeks, which is the quarantine, to make sure that they have nothing infectious. And at that time, then they are sent out to our adoption centers across the province.
Wow. Now your fostering program, how does that work? So these are people that take the animals for a short period of time prior to them being adopted full time.
Yeah, so not every animal will go into foster. These are specifically animals that have either medical needs, they've either undergone a surgery and require kind of round the clock attention. These are puppies and kittens that may have lost their mums and they need bottle feeding every 2 to 3 hours. Animals that have behavioral challenges. So for instance, we had a cat who was incredibly shy, and we put her with a foster mom who had a really outgoing cat, and just kind of let the two of them interact. And the very shy cat, after a few months, really came out of her shell and was a super happy girl. And would have been able to go up for adoption if her foster mom had not decided to keep her. So those are called foster fails, and they're the best kind of fail ever. And they do happen, but that's what the foster program is designed for. It is a temporary fix until we can get these animals to the stage where they're able to be adopted. And then we send them to the adoption centers.
Wonderful, wonderful. If anybody on the line would like to ask a question, please just type it into the chat and we will ask it to Robin on your behalf. So your fundraising initiatives, you've got a couple of virtual things coming up. If anybody would like to assist, donate, they would just contact you direct, Robin?
Yes, yep, absolutely. My phone number is 705-529-8944. Or it can always be reached by email at relliott, so RELLIOTT at ontariospca.ca.
Okay, perfect. So the shelter is now open by appointment only, and your fostering program's open with some limitations, and your adoption program as well. So everything's kind of open, other than your volunteer program is not running. You're only kind of carrying out all these duties with paid staff and a small staff. I should ask you, how many actual staff do you have on at the shelter?
We have our fantastic center manager, Caitlin. We have our RVT, Jocelyn, and then we have 3 full-time staff at the main center. And then at the Path Center, we have a team of 4. So
Wow.
it's a very small team.
It is a small team. Good for you again. Like, congratulations on all you're doing. So everything's running back to that point, kind of in a modified format. The adoptions are still available, fostering, that type of thing. And do you have any animals right now in the shelter that you're looking for a home for?
Right now, we only have one. Her name is Luna, and she's a medium-haired black cat. She's beautiful, but she is a bit of a special needs girl. She's looking for a home that has an experienced cat owner, no other animals, and no small children. Luna's challenge is she becomes overstimulated really, really easily. So if you're petting her, she's an absolute love. But she will tell you very quickly that she's had enough. And if you don't know how to read those signs, you might get a scratch because she'll let you know that she's done. So we are looking for a very special home. We've had a few inquiries, and we do, our vetting process is quite thorough. So we've had a few people reach out who are maybe first-time cat owners. That's not going to be the best home for her. So we're really looking for that very special home to be able to put her in. We did actually just find a wonderful home for our elderly boy, Tweak, who has the most adorable face. He's kind of cross-eyed and he's very sweet. And he is 10 years old and is going into kidney failure. His family was not able to care for him and asked to surrender him to us. And often these animals are really difficult to challenge because, of course, who wants to take on an elderly cat with health problems? We had a flood of people when we posted his picture, of people that said, we will take him on, we will, do whatever it takes. I had a woman in Chicago contact me and say, if he doesn't get picked up, can you please let me know, because I will find a way to get him to Chicago from Midland. So we get really lucky a lot of the times with the animals that we're looking for. So we will be having about 15 kittens coming up the beginning or middle of November. They're just in foster right now. And of course, the northern transfers, we just did 2 of them. So we have 12 dogs at the Path right now, who will be coming to our adoption center and to the other adoption centers. So lots of sweet fur babies coming up.
Lots going on. So we do have a question from Colleen on the line. Would you prefer a money donation or a donation of pet food? Great question.
Right now, financial donations are key. As I said, we're down on our fundraising to 1/3 of what our budget is. We've gotten a ton of donations of food, and actually Pet Value just donated 58 skids of food to the Ontario OSPCA, wow, which is incredible. That's over 118,000 meals. So wow, that's what I mean when I'm talking about the generosity of our community. And I know that was Pet Value Corporate, but it all came here. It is being dispersed to our centers across the province. But at this time, financial donations are really crucial for us. Thank you.
Perfect. So I'm guessing that a lot of your protocols and procedures over the pandemic were driven by your provincial office. Is that true, Robin? And a lot of what you're saying in terms of the protocols and what you're doing would be applicable to all shelters across the province?
Yes. So we are run by our CEO, Kate McDonald, and our board of directors. So they, plus a team of people who have been kind of pulled from each area within our organization, have been making the calls about how we move forward and what protocols we have in place when we're opening, all of those things. So that is mandated by our provincial office. We have 12 Ontario SPCA centers and 20 affiliate centers. So all 12 of the Ontario SPCA centers fall under those mandates. Our affiliate centers have their own board of directors, so they can kind of do things a little bit differently. These are centers that share our philosophy in an overall sense, but are not necessarily mandated by the same policies and procedures that we are. So some of them have remained open throughout COVID, have continued to do adoptions. So we've been able to work with them a little bit in that sense, but in terms of the Ontario SPCA offices proper, yes, everything is mandated by our provincial office.
Okay, so any other questions on the line? This webinar is being recorded, and we will send it out via social media and an email to our members after for those that could not attend. And if there's any other questions, please feel free to ask them now. Robin, I just want to say thank you again, and to you and the entire team there at the shelter for all you're doing for these vulnerable animals and these stressful times. So you've pushed forward, and it's heartwarming to hear what you've gone through, and that you're still able to care for these wonderful dogs and kittens that you have at the shelter. So thank you on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce to you and the team there.
Thank you.
I'm
I'm lucky. I get the fun job.
Yeah. So I don't see any other questions, Robin. And I think we've covered everything. So thank you so much again for doing this presentation, and again for all you do there. Take care, stay well, and we hope that the shelter will be open in full force in the new year, and we look forward to talking to you then.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.